So in this lesson, we're going to talk about the quarter bend. Now, this is something you'll see pop up in loads of tab, especially if you're like a blues rock kind of player, because this is one of the most infamous styles of bends. And it's a quarter bend. It can also be known as a blues curl or a blues bend or something along those lines. You might have found loads of terminology for this, but the fundamentals are that it's a kind of a bend that is somewhat intangible because we're literally bending not up to a note that we can define. And this is why it's so hard. So if I was on a piece of tab and I saw a half bend or a whole bend, that's relatively simple for me to pitch, because let's just say I was in the key of B minor. We're going to be working in B minor today. And I had a bend here, and it was a whole bend. So it was a one-tone bend. I know that just means that I need to bend up to there. So for me, I can pitch it and then find my way up to that bend. You can hear how gradually, you can audibly hear me hit that tone. Same thing goes with a half bend. So a half bend is a semitone bend. So I'm going to pitch it and then bend up to the note. So again, it's very tangible. It's very audible. You can hear what you're trying to do. With a quarter bend, we're working with microtones. So this is actually, there's no like tangible, like, okay, well, look, there's the note and I'm trying to get to that note. That's not on here. So my experience with students here is that this is the hardest bend to get. So over the years, I've developed a way that just seems to work all the time in terms of getting this bend taught to students, because it is a hard thing to hear initially. So before we get into the nitty gritty, let's just have a listen to what some quarter bends sound like when improvising over a little bit of a B minor thing that I put together just before the start of the video, just a B minor chord. So something along these lines. If we just take our minor pentatonic for a second, so B minor pentatonic in this case, box one, of course. What we're looking at is that flat third, okay? So we've got to find the root note, and then the note above that in the pentatonic is the flattened third. That's a great place to start working with quarter bends. It's just very natural. You can hear that across the fretboard, right? So there's another one up here, there's another one here. So it's a really, really good place to start working with quarter bends. So that's my first tip. Start on the flat third, resolving to the root. Now, let's get into the actual science of what's happening with these quarter bends. So to help us out with this, I've got a trusty, put that down, chalkboard. Da, 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 da. There it is. And the reason I've got this is because this is kind of how it's worked out, especially with teaching a lot on Zoom to people all over the world. It helps to have something quite visual, tangible here, as well as the sound. So I'm going to do a very little kind of like diagram here for you guys. So first of all, we're going to start with a classic graph. So we've got time over here. 1 second, I'll show you this. And up here, we've got the note. So let's have a little look at this. Da, 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 there we go. So down this side here, this is time. So the length of time of the bend. And up here, we've got the note. So how high is it? A quarter bend, a half bend, etc., etc. So what people tend to do when I first show them this idea of a quarter bend is, if you imagine, if I put, so the dots here that are in yellow, this is a quarter. Hold on. Roughly, because like I said, quarter is, you know, somewhere above a single note and below a half bend. So let's just imagine those dots there are as high as we need to go for a quarter bend, and it's roughly around there. The key thing actually is how you get to that, not the exactness of the note, but kind of how you get to it. So this is what people tend to do first. So let's use a nice red color here. They go like this. Boom. So this red line is where they've gone from naught to quarter bend very quickly and straightly. So we've just gone boop, straight up to that quarter bend. Actually, what needs to happen, that ends up sounding quite out of tune. What needs to happen is more like this. So let's use an orange one here. So more like this. Like this. So see if you can visualize this, right? So the science behind quarter bends. So you see that orange one, it's quite a long time not doing much. And then just as you're about to finish the bend, the note, then you very quickly go up, okay? So just bear that in mind for a second, okay? And let's just put that down and just see what that kind of feels like on the guitar. The idea here, so that first bend is kind of like if I'd have done this. So just going up straight away, just up. And it's not a quarter bend, it's not a half bend, so it's not getting quite up to there, and it just sounds a bit out of tune. I think you could agree. It just doesn't sound that great, to be honest. So instead of that, what I want you to do is hold the note for quite some time, and only just as you're about to finish the bend, then you go up quite quickly, so like this. And on top of that, when you get to the final destination of your bend, whatever that is, whether it's quarter or just above quarter, it doesn't really matter too much, right? You're kind of listening out for this. You stop it completely dead. So you literally stop the note dead. Okay? And you'll feel that. It'll feel like going over a mountain. Whoop, and you just drop. So you're just there, and then you just drop over. So that's the kind of visualization. That's where, if we come back to this graph, that's what I'm talking about here. So have another look at this. So you can see it was like, hang on, let me make sure I got my bearings right here. Here we go. So it's like nothing, 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 and then whoop, and then stop, okay? And even if you do end up going a little bit higher or a little bit lower, it's not too bad. As long as you've done it in this way, it will sound pretty bluesy, pretty good. So you can hear, I'll give you some examples of a slightly over, slightly under. So here's slightly over. So there I've pretty much just gone up to the half bend, but that's okay. That still sounds really good. And here's a little bit under. I haven't quite gone up to what I perceive as being a quarter bend, but it's close enough. And because of the way I've done it, it sounds really good still. Because in my mind, the quarter bend is like your question mark. It's the whole like, it's not finished, it's not resolved, and then it resolves on the root. So I would try and practice this in a couple of places on the neck. So I'd practice it there and really take your time with this. So you see, holding it, up, finish, and then my root note. So holding it, up, finish, and then root note. And then I take that up an octave. So then I come up into my box 2 pentatonic. And there's a root note and there's a flat third. So I'm going to take that note now and go up by a quarter. But again, same principle. So hold, and then go for it. Hold, and then go for it. And you can do it with any finger you like. And then we can resolve to the root. Okay. Okay, and then finally I come all the way up to box 4. And I've got another flat third to root combination here. So we can do the same thing. Again, it's not this. This is all just, you know, is going to sound a little bit off, a little bit iffy. But when you do it in the way I've said, that's when this quarter bend really comes to life. Cool, so let me just play you out by just showing you a little bit around the fretboard where I'm just going to do that box 1, that box 2, that box 4, using that quarter bend each time. Sometimes with just the quarter bend, and sometimes the quarter bend then resolving to the root note. Here we go. So let's go down here. Now without the root, that's where I get that really cool question mark. And now let's do it wrong. A little bit of delay there. See, that just sounds a little bit heavy, a little bit out of tune. And now we'll come up the octave. That gives me my question mark. And now let's do it question mark with resolve. And then up here. That over the mountain kind of feel. So I'm going up, slow, 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 and then fall down the edge of the mountain. Okay. So I really hope that helps. If you're struggling with quarter bends and you come across them, it just doesn't quite sound right, this will hopefully be the solution that you need. It does take practice. It does take kind of tuning in the ear to what it should sound like. But hopefully if you've got that visual in your mind as you're doing it, that's going to make a huge difference. Now, if you want a really cool course that you can grab for free here on YouTube, then check out our Blues Essentials Level 1, where we use a lot of these quarter bends and also learn all the theory around it, including the pentatonic, the major, the minor, the crossover, how to play 12 bars, all of this wonderful stuff. The videos are available right here on YouTube, and we'll put that link in the description for you, and you can click on this video to get to the start of that playlist. I'll see you there.